Hi, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph video clip. Today, we're going to make some American style pancakes. Now, these are absolutely delicious, and it's the kind of pancakes which will be quite thick. Okay, so I'm just going to show you first of all what we need. But before we do all of that, today's affirmation is I learn English with peace. Okay, learning English should be a peaceful thing. No stress, no stress. So if you're not feeling very peaceful today, I just want you to write that down. I learn English with peace, and peace helps me to move forward. So very nice, yes. And as I always say, if there's any problems with learning English, do look at your joy level, because your joy level will tell you what's really happening. Right, let's get into our pancake recipe. Now for this, it's very simple, very simple. You're going to need some white flour, like this. Okay, white flour. You're going to need some baking powder. Okay, baking powder. Now, just so you know, this is not bicarbonate of soda. No. This is not in the recipe, okay? It looks the same, white powder, but this is the one you want, baking powder. Okay? So, white flour, baking powder, just sit them here so you can see them. Salt, it's another one, salt. Caster sugar, now I'm not using caster sugar, I'm using normal sugar, okay, sugar. And of course, if you're diabetic or you have any requirements, be careful of that and how much you use. Milk, now I'm using lactose-free milk, okay, but any milk will do. An egg and some butter. Okay, my butter, I can't believe it's not butter. It's an alternative to butter. Okay, this is what I use instead of butter, but my recipe asks for butter. Okay, and as I mentioned, an egg, and you want to make sure that it's fairly large. Okay, and that's our recipe for making pancakes. So let's begin. Now, this is really easy. Okay, pancakes are one of the easiest things you can make, but you need to be careful, because if you have smoke alarms, be careful with that, because you could inevitably set off the smoke alarms. You don't want to do that. I'm sure you have neighbors. So I've already got a window open and the door is closed to make sure my smoke alarms won't be disturbed. So we're going to start with 4 3/4 ounces of flour. Now, I know that you're all in the metric areas. It's only Britain and I think America that does this whole ounces thing. So I've done the calculation for you. It's actually 135 grams of flour. Now, I have my scales here. Okay, so if I just move this stuff away. Yeah, what I'm going to do is, if I switch this on, it's my scales. Yeah, they won't work while they're standing up like this. But basically, if I just turn this around a little bit so you can see them. You can see it's at 0 there, I think. I think you can You can see that, yeah. It's currently set for milliliters, so I'll just change the units. There's grams, there's pounds and ounces, and we're going to use the metric system. Okay, so there we are, grams. Right, now it says 0, but if I switch this off, okay, and put this on it, at the top, it's going to come back at 0 with the cup on top. Yeah, there we are, 0. So now I can add my flour directly to this. So I want 135 grams. There we are. I'm just a little bit over there with 138 grams. Okay. So that's fine, and that's just dropped down to 137, so that's fine. It says here 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Now, the baking powder is really important, okay? Because the baking powder is what's going to make the pancakes rise, okay? Now, let's just add this. So 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, so there we are, the baking powder. Half a teaspoon of salt. There we are. I can move these scales out the way for a second. Now, it says 2 tablespoons of sugar. So, of course, that's entirely up to you as to how much you want to add to this. Now, one thing I'm going to do, just before I add the sugar, I'm not using caster sugar, which is the very thin sugar. I'm using normal sugar. So I didn't sieve the flour. The sieve is when you get a sieve and you shake it like this and it drops down. I didn't do that. So that means I have to mix the flour a little bit more to separate it. Okay. So I'm just going to do that now. There we are. Okay, so very good, very good. I'm not sure if you know what a sieve is. I don't have one handy to show you. But basically, a sieve is like a little net, and you put the flour in and you shake it, and it falls out the bottom. Okay, but I don't have one, so that's why I just need to make sure that I give this flour an extra stir. Okay, there we are. Right, so we've got there the baking powder, the salt, and we're just about to add the sugar. It's really up to you, but remember, of course, if you are diabetic or if there's anything else that you need to keep in mind, you might want to use a substitute instead of sugar. So I'm just going to go for 2 tablespoons of this, because I'll probably add honey to them when I serve them as well. Right, there we are. Now we want 130 milliliters. That's 4.5 fluid ounces of milk. Okay, so that's the next thing that we need to add. Now, I don't have another jug. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to bring back the scales. Okay, here they are. To switch this on. And hopefully it'll come up at 0. Yeah, it does. Right. Okay, that's fine. So I'll just put that off again. I'll put this here without the spoon. Okay, that's great. So that's showing a 0 again. So I'm just going to change this to make it fluid ounces. Oh, I see the focus has gone a little bit here. Let me just move you back a bit. There. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so what I'm doing, okay, is I just reset this to 0 so I can add the milk without it remembering that there's something on top here. So my scales are showing a 0, and I'm going to add 4.5 fluid ounces. Okay, so let's just have a look at this now. Okay, 4.5 fluid ounces. Okay, let's just try this. There we are, 4.5 fluid ounces, almost perfectly. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to mix this up. Okay, so remember, this is the flour, the sugar, the salt, and the baking powder. Okay, so we're going to mix it up until it becomes really nice and usable. Okay, so it's up to you exactly how you want to do this. Now you remember there that I had some extra flour, didn't I? It was a little bit over with the amount. So I would say I'm going to need just a tiny bit extra of milk. There we are. Just to help this along. There we are. That's great. Now you want to prepare this until there's no lumps left. Okay. There. So this is looking perfect. A bit thick, but it's nice. And now I'm going to add in the egg, okay, which will be lightly beaten. And then we need to add in some butter. So let me just add in the egg. Okay, so I'll just get another fork. I'm just going to beat the egg a little bit. Okay, there we are. Just add that in. I wonder if the suffragettes had this problem. I wonder if they used baking powder in their pancakes. Of course, you don't have to hand whisk it. I mean, I'm complaining about that, but you could use one of these, which is the tool for whisking. Whisk. I'm not using it. I'm just using a fork, but this would be quite something. Right, now, let me just turn this around so we can focus on the frying pan more than anything else. There we are. Right, so we're going to just quickly heat some butter, 2 tablespoons, okay? And then we're going to add these in. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to switch on the cooker here. Let's put on this electric plate. You can see there. That's going to heat up. Okay, and I'll add in my 2 tablespoons of butter. Very generous tablespoons. You can see there. Okay, so there's 1. And again, be very careful if you're cooking for people who are overweight or maybe who are diabetic or these things, you know. Be very careful with how much you use. Right. So when that butter is melted, I'm going to add it to the mixture. And the good thing about melting it in the pan here is it means the pan will already be ready for the pancakes. Okay. Now, I'm just going to put some of this stuff away while we're waiting. So you can see there the butter is beginning to melt, which is great. I'm not going to move these ingredients away too far because we might make more in a minute. We'll see. We'll see how the first batch turns out. Right, so that's melting nicely. So we'll just give that a moment. And we'll get the plates ready because you have to move quick with these pancakes. This is one of the things about them. You need to have plenty of plates ready. So this is a plate we're going to put the pancakes on when they're ready. Okay, very nice, very nice. So we're almost there. We just need to move that butter and put it into our mixture. Okay, so let's just move this around. There we are. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I've been very generous with the butter because I've been very generous with the other ingredients as well, with the milk and flour. So I'll be interested to see exactly how this turns out. Okay, so let's just move on here. So this is already, as you can see, a bit thick, but it's fine. I'll just wait for the rest of that butter to melt. And then I'll put it there. Right, there we are. So this is all melted, more or less, as you can see. One final little moment of heat, and that should do it. Yeah, it's all disappearing there, becoming liquid, which is what we want, isn't it? Right, so I'm just going to pour this in to here and leave this pan moist, ready for the first batch of pancakes. And of course, the one other thing I really need to have ready is my spatula to lift the pancakes. Okay, so let's try this. Right, so that's the butter. And that's it all mixed in, okay? Plenty of butter left here in the pan, okay? But you don't want too much liquid in there because otherwise your pancakes will become greased. But let's try the first one, okay? Now remember, we've already added baking powder to the flour. So that means these pancakes are going to be quite thick, okay? Other pancakes you make without the baking powder are going to be very skinny, but these are actually going to be quite thick. So you don't need to worry too much about them being too thin, okay? If you want them really skinny, then don't add the baking powder, okay? And you can see here, they look like little cakes. It looks delicious, doesn't it? So these are actually really, really quick to make. I mean, within seconds, these things are ready to turn. So you can see here that already it's ready to turn over. Yeah. So just give that a second. And as the pan gets drier, the pancakes cook quicker. So be very careful. 30 seconds to a minute is maximum for this. Also, depending on your taste, you might want them a bit more black looking or brown looking. For me, like this is fine. And of course, you'll serve them with some sugar on the top and some lemon juice. Lemon juice. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Yeah, perfect. So that's our first pancake. So let's do the next one. Again, keep in mind that these things are going to be quite thick. Okay, so it's up to you exactly what you want it to look like, you know. Within 30 seconds to a minute, it's going to be ready to turn. Oh, strangely, I usually make a lot more mess than this when I'm making pancakes, but so far it's looking quite good, isn't it? So yeah, already you see it's kind of hard there. So we just need to see if we can turn it. Yeah, see this one more brown because the pan is dry. And you can see there how quickly that cooked as well. So, very nice, very nice. Beautiful, beautiful. In British English, we call this type of pancake a crumpet, otherwise known as American pancake. So if you're looking for them in the supermarket, crumpets is the word that you'll be looking for. Yeah, it's ready to lift again. As you can see, we'll just move the butter around in the pan a bit. Plenty there. Next one. So I'm not actually using a lot of this batter. It's spreading as it hits the pan. There we are. So again, very quickly, less than a minute, and this thing will be ready to turn. And already I can smell something burning. So you need to be very careful with your smoke alarms because they'll be very sensitive to this. There we are. So just another second or two, and that'll be it done. Right, there we are. So that's us. You can see there. Be careful not to burn these because you can see they're getting a little bit darker, quicker. So again, just a little drop, little spread. There we are. A little bit extra this time. I'll just arrange these on the plate so they look normal. Well, they are normal, but you know what I mean. I'll do a circle of them. By the way, this butter, which is called I Can't Believe It's Not Butter, is very, very nice. I really recommend that if you're on any kind of strict diet. Oh, the kitchen's getting smoky. Need to be careful of the smoke alarm. So I'm going to open this window. There we are. And I'll just lift this for a second. Turn it. Ah, it's lovely and brown, isn't it? There we are. So again, within a second, that's going to be done. Okay. Just give that a moment. Yeah, perfect. So that's our next one. You see, it's very easy to burn these, so you need to be really careful. Okay, just another quick one. Now, I think after this one, I might need more butter just to wash around the pan. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so learning English and making sure that you are at peace. So, as I always say, if you have any problems at all in your learning and you suspect it's because you're unhappy or it's making you unhappy, you really need to look at that. For a lot of people, the idea of learning really brings up problems because it reminds them of school. It reminds them of how things were when they were children. And trust me, that's not always good. So if anything like that is happening for you when you're trying to learn, it's really important that you just address that. We're not kids anymore. Well, most of us aren't. I don't know how old you are, but yeah, it's really important that you just think about that. Because if let me just put this in 1 second. There we are. Yeah, it's really important you think about that because learning is supposed to be joyful. And for some people, it really does bring up a lot of stress. So it's something that you just need to be thinking about. Right, here we are. Another one, almost ready. Now, I'm not the kind of person that can toss them so that they land. So I'm just going to turn this over. There we are. Yeah, so yeah, you have a right to learn in peace without any body or anything on your mind. So if there is something there, please do think about that. Right, and you can see here, this is ready within, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, is it? You can make them as fancy as you want, or not want, as the case may be. And you just keep continuing going through this, making sure to moisten the pan all the time. Obviously, you can make huge ones if you want to impress your friends and family. We are. That's it. Again, coming nicely there. I'm a bit too quick, I think, in trying to turn that, but still, it's very good. Yeah, see, I'm a bit too anxious to get this done, aren't I? Anyway, that's the joy of making pancakes. So we have many successful ones. This one is looking not quite as successful as the others. I'll have to go and clean the pan. But there we are. So that's a little guide to making some pancakes. Just put that on there. That one's a bit out of shape, but still, it's nice. And the secret, as always, is making sure that your pan doesn't burn, because if it does, you're going to have a lot of noise with your smoke alarms. Put that here. Right, let's use some more of this. So my last one wasn't as good. It went a little bit strange around the edges. So I'm just going to see how this one goes. I'm adding more butter because I'm concerned this room is getting very smoky. And as it gets very smoky, my concern is that the alarms are going to go off, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so this one's moving around quite nicely, isn't it? Let's see. Yeah, so I can just turn that. A lot of butter, so it's not quite as brown. It takes a bit longer, and it looks a bit more soaked as well. So just be careful how much butter you add, and also how brown you want them. And that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Plenty of things. I'm going to go and finish cooking these, and I hope you have a lovely day. See you all. Bye.